I am not oop. Oop is you had Kothroplish originally posted to RA Theta for being rude to my SIL over my nephew her son's die. Trigger warnings GT, manipulation, financial harm. Let's an original postvich mwof. Reddit RA swy kifiakatoido March 18. 2026. So for a long time my SIL and her husband have wanted a playground at home for their son, my nephew. His 5th die is coming up and we were spitballing ideas about what to get for him. Me, my SIL's mom and SIL had a group chat to discuss die ideas. I brought up some outdoor equipment and then my said she wanted to do a playground. My SIL then took it to our family group chat, me, my husband, SIL's husband in regards to it. We all thought it might be a collaborative effort. I voiced that we were willing to contribute to the setup or adding a piece of equipment for a playground area. Tried to kind of take over. She sent a couple of really nice swing sets from Amazon and said I'm willing to get these for him if you guys create a space and maybe add a couple of things. SIL says she's been looking at something just like that. I voice ideas for things to add on to it. It seems like a done deal. Fast forward to today and my SIL starts sending $600 irons, 800 wooden swing sets. I brought it up to her about what her mom said she was willing to get and she said me and hubby are still browsing and deciding what we want to do and she sent the place that she decided on. Says, so who's paying for all this? Are you going to put it on credit? Implying that she wasn't paying for it. She had already sent the links to place she was willing to pay for and SIL wanted one several hundred more expensive. SIL says she and hubby would have to discuss payment because they don't have the money for it. The question was brought up if we were all contributing towards it. She assumed that since her mom had already sent place she was willing to pay for, that she would be paying for the one they wanted. I was quick to clarify, and I was rude about it, when she created the group chat. She made it a collaborative effort but then she specified multiple times that she hadn't decided on anything yet and she was browsing and she would let us know what her decision was, essentially shutting the rest of us out. I'm not unreasonable and I do understand that it is their yard and everything. But we had all clearly stated what we were willing to contribute before she decided they wanted a nicer swing set and didn't have the money to pay for it. We all wanted to be a part of creating something special for the boy. I said I thought was getting those swing sets she sent earlier and we were contributing towards creating a space for it. Then you said you hadn't decided and were still browsing. Your house, your yard, your playground, your kid, etc. Just let me know what you decide and we can contribute $100 towards it. She's upset with me now, but it is what it is. The petty side of me wants to just say screw it and just back out of the whole thing and just get my nephew something I want to get him. However, he's not my kid and I'm respectful of boundaries. His mom SIL is very much a hover parent though and wants control over every aspect of his life. I'm not about that. I'm disappointed because I thought I would get to be part of something special for him. Ida for feeling salty about contributing towards something that I really didn't get any say in picking out. Additional information from OopGT up Tapsik Kodit Most Jud Jimpcheat GTGT for reference. This is the swing set SIL picked out, not including the cost of mulch and other landscaping to set the project up. GTGT Tapsik Kodi Zeroam is Irj GTGT Tapsik Kodi Zerholini and GTGT Mill originally offered to order both of these swing sets if we did the landscaping and picked out a couple additional playground items. Relevant comments commenter 110. Whether you pick something out or just contribute $100 towards the playground, it's still going towards your nephew's gift. I'm not sure if that's what you're really upset about. The bigger issue is that your SIL is being super ungrateful and entitled about the generosity of everyone wanting to give a generous gift to her little boy. If your SIL insists on being difficult, everyone should just give her a cash amount towards the playground, and she and her husband can figure out what they want to spend in total. GT up, it takes me a bit to get to the root of the issue and I'm upset. But I think it's because I had some great ideas for something to make a playground for him really special and she had made it a joint effort and then took it back and specified that she was the one making the final choices. GT commenter 2, who do you think should make the final choices? GT. The parents obviously should choose what they want for their child. In this scenario, they initially agreed on what was affordable, the options Mill sent. Then they decided on something more expensive and wanted everyone else to supplement. Knowing they were unable to afford what they wanted, if you aren't the one providing something, unfortunately the options are typically limited. GT. So as it stands, the options are GT. 1 SIL and her husband foot the rest of the bill beyond what Mill and I originally agreed to pitch in. They can't afford this option. GT. 2 Mill and Ashiark place out more. I genuinely would if I could. GT. 3 SIL and husband compromise and go with the option Mill is willing and able to give. GT. 4 nephew goes without until SIL and husband are able to get what they want by themselves, because if they aren't doing the playground, we will allocate the budget towards a different gift. 12 Mo next play past GT. But I told them they're getting $100 from us if they want to do the playground, and I left it at that. Commenter 3 Okay, so if I'm reading it right, your Mill suggested getting the kid a swing set for his birthday after SIL had talked about it. Mill picked some out that she liked, and you ran with that as well. However, the parents whose yard this has to go in and whose child will be playing on it wanted to discuss and do research before making a decision. Then they asked that you guys contribute to the one that they decided was best instead of random ones Mill found, and you're mad about that? As a mom, I would not purchase a random swing set off Amazon without doing research into it. There are a lot of sketchy and unsafe things out there. If it wasn't a reputable known brand, I probably wouldn't trust it. That isn't being a hover parent, it's being a responsible parent. Also, a swing set is one of those things that you really look forward to doing. Mill hijacking it wasn't cool. My in-laws have offered multiple times to buy our daughter a swing set, and I've turned them down because of this. GT. I mean, your point is valid, and I do agree with a lot of it. GT. The thing is that they aren't going to be able to get anything at all without assistance. Mill didn't hijack the choice. She offered what she could afford, which is better than nothing at all. GT. SIL sees okay. Well, she's willing to get a playset, so let me pick one out and choose something more expensive than what Mill offered. When Mill originally sent the swing sets that she was willing to get, there wasn't any opposition, just enthusiasm. We all thought it was a nice idea. GT. I'm not arguing. I just want to understand another perspective. Would you rather your child have no playset at all if someone else offered to get one for you but it wasn't as nice as you were hoping for? Commenter 4 Folks talking about going into debt over a 5-year-old's birthday. The world isn't going to be big enough for him when he's 10. A swing or little pool should tide him over till Christmas. I'm sure mom has to be with him when he's playing. Meanwhile, make sure he has a college fund. GT. SIL and her husband would be the ones going into debt in this situation. My financial priorities are set, which is why I set the boundary that ultimately ended in SIL being upset with me. Sin speech up to Teps Waf. Reddit Sarang Latemel became March 29, 2026. 11 days later, update Ada for being rude to my SIL over my nephew her son's die. So true to my word, I sent SIL $100 and told them to use it for either recouping funds or spending it on his playground. Mill contributed however much, I'm not sure, because that's her business. She did insist that if they wanted to get a different playset than one of the ones she offered to purchase, she would love to get him a teeter-totter to go with the playset. SIL showed excitement toward it, and everyone was excited to move forward with it. Mill sends multiple options for teeter-totters within her budget that she is willing to order. They are high quality and have good safety ratings. She gives a line of Friday 3/27 yesterday for SIL and her husband to make a decision, so there is ample enough time for her to order it and for it to arrive before the kid has his die. The line comes and goes with no decision. Mill sends a reminder in the birthday planning family group chat this morning 3/28 that SIL originally created to discuss the playset. Hours go by and SIL finally responds with a link to a different piece of climbing equipment. This climbing dome is more expensive than any of the teeter-totter options that Mill offered. Mill is now upset because she had really fond memories of spending time outside with her friends on the teeter-totter and wanted to get one for her grandson. It's ultimately not her choice to make, and that is clear and understood by all of us. However, SIL asked us all to help in the decision-making process and contribute funds to her son's birthday gift. Then she shot down every option and chose more expensive gifts than what was originally offered. I did what I said I would do, and the rest is between them, but I feel bad for Mill. My husband and I both agree that she is being taken advantage of. It's up to her whether or not she sets a boundary, though. The playground has been ordered and they're in the process of getting everything set up. I hope it's all worth it. I do love my nephew to bits, but this is the last collaborative gift effort my husband and I will be participating in. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 Mill just needs to donate a certain dollar amount and let SIL handle the rest, since she seems to be the problem here. GT. I 100 agree, but SIL invited all of us to make the choices together because we were all pitching in to get her son something really special for his 5th day. SIL and her husband wouldn't be able to get anything at all for him on their own. GTGT. I think Mill just really loves her grandson and was excited to get him something that says I'm thinking about you rather than just being the bank of grandma funding almost the entire project. GTGT. I can see your point, but I can also understand that it is going in SIL's yard and it's for her kid. GTGT. I learn lessons from this situation for sure. Commenter 2. Honestly, that's the best thing you could do. Do you guys earn more by any chance? Maybe you're pushing and faffing around about deciding she thought Op will contribute more, or maybe just buy it outright. Either way, good on you for sticking with exactly what you said you would do. GT. At Mill makes more money than any of us. She works so hard every day. My family does just fine financially. We budget and save for specific needs and activities to enjoy, but we don't have any more money than anyone else. GT. SIL is a stay-at-home mom. Her husband is a union worker, and he makes decent money. That's the most frustrating bit about it. He makes enough to be able to provide for his family and more, but he is very selfish with their money. Nothing gets allocated towards anything unless it's in his interests. GT. In the kindest way possible that I can say this, he puts on this air of being burdened by his wife and child because he is the provider of the household. Therefore, it is up to SIL's mom and us, me and my husband, to shark place out extra whenever we can to alleviate some of the burden of caring for them. Anytime we do anything together as a family, husband and I pay for our family, and Mill winds up paying for herself, her daughter and her husband and her grandson. GT. To add even further to the complexity, SIL's dad is not in the picture, so my nephew only has grandma. Mill has this complex because she divorced her daughter's father. Now that we've added a generation, she has to be grandma and grandpa, so she shark places out extra for every little occasion to make up for it. Again, it's her money, her choice. GT. My husband and I can just read the room, and we're tired of Mill being taken advantage of when SIL's husband does have money. He just expects someone else to take care of anything that doesn't directly involve him. GT. Commenter 2. He sounds financially abusive, selfish, and quite frankly an asshole. Mill shouldn't feel guilty, but I guess no amount of telling her that would change her mind. I think you and your husband deciding not to get caught up in a collaborative gift again is a good idea. From now on, get a gift you two decide on. Avoid the drama. GT. Everything in that house is his. One of the things that immediately put a bad taste in my mouth towards him the first time we went to visit them in their new home. They've been together for 10 years. We've been together for 7. SIL was going to give me a Tupperware of a special meal for her mom Mill because we lived right by her and they live several hours away. He came into the kitchen and saw our exchange and was just super rude to her and said, "What are you doing? That's my Tupperware I need for my lunches at work. I'm the one who pays for them. They are mine." As well as other various comments about items in their home, his TV or his gaming console. GT. I've been on the phone with SIL multiple times listening to him yelling at her in the background. One time because she touched his Nintendo Switch charger when he was in the middle of a game, the console passed away and he lost some progress. He was just so angry over something seemingly minuscule. "That's my charger. You don't touch my charger ever." GT. Commenter 2. Are you close with SIL? Maybe have a chat with her. That's just straight up abusive, and with her being a stay-at-home mom, she does have a financial safety net. I'm guessing if things ever get much worse and he kicks her out or she decides to leave. GT. I'm speaking from experience. I eventually had to make a plan. I phoned my previous boss. He had offered to make all kinds of accommodations for me to come back after maternity leave. We get up to a year in Scotland. My ex had convinced me to stay home, quit using the last month of mat leave to make sure we still had my salary. I earned more than him and was rarely allowed so much as enough to buy groceries. I had to beg him more than once for money to get nappies, diapers, and wipes for the baby. Boss said, "Tell me what you want, name." I moved into my parents' house and went back to work. My dad moved all me and baby's things out the house while he was at work. I look back now and want to slap myself across the face for putting up with it so long. It's no way to live. The Tupperware incident is just so bizarre. SIL and you doing something nice for Mill and he's there acting like he's gonna call the cops over you taking some food to the woman he takes advantage of whenever he can. That really rips my knitting. SIL and I are decently close. We know each other more than I know my brother's wife. I know her routine and etc. I am decently involved in my nephew's life. I am close enough to know that she is very defensive over her husband. She enjoys being provided the luxury of raising her son, and that is directly tied to him. If she ever were to leave, she and her son could come live with us. Her son would have to go to daycare and she would have to go back to work. That's something I know would crush her. I'm kind of jaded about the whole thing. I'm not jealous of her being able to stay at home because I see what it's costing her. She bears sole responsibility of caring for the house and being a wife mom. Her husband offers little in the way of dad contributions. When my nephew goes to bed at night, it's never dad tucking him in. Dad gets home from work and promptly goes to enjoy himself with either TV, gaming, or shower with little regard to what his wife has been experiencing during the day. Then mom, who has cared for him all day, also does the evening routine: dinner, bath time, books, and bed. And before he goes to bed, it's go give your dad a kiss goodnight. When he is rude to her, I ask her if she is okay, and she says something like, yeah, but I shouldn't have touched his charger, and then claims that she can stand up for herself when she feels like she needs to. So I support how I can. And I hope she knows we're there for her. I've taken a step back from our relationship recently because I felt like we needed some distance. I was feeling hollow and irritated after our interactions and decided that I needed to give myself some time. Commenter 3: SIL sounds like a jerk. I'm glad you weren't manipulated into spending more just because she has expensive tastes beyond everyone's budget. I really hope Mill didn't get hounded into paying more than she intended to pay. If the teeter-totter Mill was willing to get costs $150, and SIL decided she wanted something else that costs $350, then Mill should have contributed the $150, or gotten him something different for even less money. I'm not 100% sure whether or not Mill has purchased the more expensive toy. I do know that she's upset and she has stopped responding to messages in the birthday group chat and has not indicated that she has even seen the link to the more expensive toy. If they work it out amongst themselves, that's fine, but SIL is still upset with me for my original comment, so I'm not going to get involved. Commenter 4: I was on your side the first time, but a seesaw for a Fevio. The dome is much more useful and fun. He can play with it alone and not need a friend over just to use it. The price difference between a seesaw and a play dome isn't that high, which makes me wonder how much pricier any of the items SIL sent were and what her side is. Frankly, paying $30 more, for example, for something he can play with more often doesn't seem outrageous. That's valid. I don't care personally whether or not he gets a climbing dome or a seesaw. What I do care about is that SIL agreed that getting the seesaw would be okay, and then without letting Mill know, she chooses something more expensive. For added context, he would not be playing alone the majority of the time. SIL and her family live on family property. There are 3 households with kids that all live next door to each other. He spends every day with his cousins and they will all take advantage of the place. This kind of adds to things as well. Not only are we creating something for him, it will be used by their entire family, 7 kids in total. I don't even like the other kids. There are 2 little girls that are huge bullies when they get together, and they're likely going to kick my nephew off his own place. I told SIL that if I see it happening, I'm going to say something to them. I do know these kids and their parents, so it wouldn't be a random discipline. Family property, not in a cult way. SIL's husband's parents had a big piece of property on a private drive. When the kids grew up, they said they would give them some property to live on. SIL's husband's parents live at the end, then SIL and husband, then other family members behind them, all in a stretch on a private driveway. Seen speech: do not comment in linked posts or message. Oops, Boru Rule 7. This is a report sub, but I am not oop.